Well, a very good morning. Welcome to Puerto on the Sunshine Island of Mallorca. We're back for the big finale, the last day, the big shootout for the Puerto title. It's really ostensibly it's really between Sled and Phoenix. Phoenix with a 2-point lead going on the water just now. The big thing here today is that we have an offshore breeze. We have the Mistral coming through during the night. We're now in a northerly regime. We're going to be racing more off the airport. It's going to be shifty, gusty, puffy, and it's entirely new this week. So far we've raced only in the sea breeze, only had up to 10 knots of wind, but right now we've got 16 or 17 on the water, so a great scenario setting up for this big finale. But let's look back to yesterday and see how we got where we are now. One for the morning, 2 for the penultimate day of racing here in Puerto Portals. Another hot day, another day in the sea breeze. Something unusual. We're racing on a Monday. Who's going to be having a blue Monday and who's going to be having a happy Monday? It's so hot.
We like to see more cold weather and snow, but I don't think it's going to happen today. Will be similar to yesterday, even if there is a chance to see a little more breeze later in the afternoon today.
So more typical Palma sea breeze, around about 12 to 13 knots on the start line for race 7. Platoon, Profezza and Vayu more towards the left end of the start line. 2, 1, Vayu on the pin, way up at the committee boat end the line. Phoenix make a nice start at the flag boat and get out to the right early on. Really, Phoenix just do their own thing, get a nice lane, let the boat do the work. On the left side, Platoon and Profezza going well. Round the top mark, it's very, very close. Profezza just get round ahead of Phoenix. Phoenix are round in second, then Platoon in third, Quantum Racing in fourth, Sled are in fifth, and Profezza then hold out all the way around the course to record their first win of the regatta. In second place, Phoenix go top of the regatta standings. Quantum Racing beat Platoon to take third place and move up to third on the standings. So second race of the day, much the same kind of breeze off the start line. Phoenix come off the pin end of the line along with Interledge. Sled and Quantum line up together just a little bit further up the line. Up the first beat, then Phoenix tack across to the right early on, stay out of the battle on that left side. That really pays off for Phoenix. They keep nicely out of trouble, but Sled do come in from the left side at the top mark to lead just ahead of Phoenix round the first windward mark. Platoon in third. It's pretty close down at the first run. Sled lead through the first gate, then at the top mark Phoenix leading through the finish line. It's Phoenix from Sled with Quantum Racing in third, so Phoenix gain one more point going into the final day. After 8 races, the standings are Phoenix leading on 21 points, 2 points behind are Sled in second on 23 points, third Quantum Racing on 33 points.
We're heading into the last day in good shape. Small lead over Sled. We're not going to take anything for granted, and we know it's going to be a real battle all the way to the end.
Sure, yes, it has been a big battle, and it's really a great sailing venue here, and we're just enjoying the place. We're super happy, so looking good going into tomorrow.
2 good races today, only 1 day of racing left. There's 2 boats in the frame, there's only 2 boats between them, and a big Tuesday in prospect.
Can you hear me?
Alan Smith on the water as our live commentator today. Just a little bit of colour coming in from a vastly experienced sailor. Smithy, how's it looking on the water then?
Yeah, Andy. 18, 20 knots, 2 light spots, 2 puffs, a couple of boats on J4s, which suggests you can get some puffs at the 22s. Should be a pretty fruity race with high downwind speeds for these boats. Little delay here right now, because Interlodge asked for a little delay, but about to get going.
Good. Now it's a different wind direction, isn't it? It's blowing offshore. What's your interpretation there, particularly between the Phoenix and the Sled? I mean, they're the 2 boats that really are in the frame. You know them both better than just about anyone, having sailed with the Phoenix and know the Sled guys really well.
Yeah, look, they're going to probably go off the line, and I'd say they want to extend towards the left shore. Looks slightly windier up the left side, so it'll be all about who can hold their lane the longest and then come in under port tack ley line towards the top mark. And obviously there'll be a few boats will be flushed out of the start line to the right. There is a little shifty from, say, 55 through to 70. So So, you know, anyone that gets flush right can always come back on a nice heading and upset the sled in Phoenix race.
Who's your money on?
Oh, look, I'm not a betting man, so I'll let the race do the talking.
You're not allowed to do that. But yeah, I mean, give us your evaluation then. I mean, Sled have won here they won the last regatta this time last year, or in August last year. They won the Worlds and the 52 Super Series title here in November on the same waters. Phoenix were leading going into the last day of the Worlds, and then had that kite blowing up. They're the team that want to win. They've got unfinished business, as it were. What's your evaluation between the two teams?
Well, currently this week,
yeah.
Currently this week, it's obviously a very different day, which will upset the chain of order. But you know, Phoenix has been sailing extremely well with 4 wins. You know, and they're hungry. They want to win a regatta, and if they do win this one, it'll be their first time in 4 years. So they've had the seconds and thirds, but you know, so I'm sure they're going to try their absolute hardest. The boys will be hiking hard off the line. The trimmers will be doing their thing, and Tony will be steering the boat super well.
And in the meantime, Tom Slingsby is very much a closer, isn't he? He's cool under pressure on days like this.
Absolutely. You know, he's seen so many different scenarios, and this is a very experience-based sport, and he is one hell of a competitor.
And on the other hand, we have owner-driver Mr. Takashi Okura on the sled. Different scenario for him. He wasn't on board last year. So what's it going to be like for him? How is he going to be feeling?
Yeah, look, he's a super keen yachty, and I was talking to their coach, Rod Davis, just before, and, you know, they've gone over the scenarios of a very different day and, you know, getting up towards 20 knots, so they'll be a bit more aggressive at the steering and the pumping and weight up downwind and keeping the boat on the step and, you know, and then being able to transition when they need to if you get some light spots. There are a few holes starting to develop out here, so, you know, it'll be about who can hold their lane off the line.
Indeed, and what's your interpretation of the wind forecast? I mean, we will see the thermal effect, the sea breeze coming in later in the day. We've got a limited time span in this northerly breeze, don't we?
Sure, absolutely. This race should get away and get completed in this wind, and possibly there's a chance to do the same for the second race. You know, it is getting pretty warm out here, so the thermal will start working at some point. Currently, though, it seems to be significantly windier than forecast, and then what Windy said it was going to be. So this may just hold in a little longer.
Now, talk to us a little bit about Quantum. Quantum are not too far out of it, over 2 races. Could they spring an upset?
Oh, you know, anything's possible, especially if Phoenix and Sled go off having a fight and go the wrong way and they get a few boats in between. Quantum, I would imagine, would be pretty keen to minimise season point loss and, you know, just get as close as possible. And, you know, they've always been pretty hot on overall honours at the end of the year.
That's right. I mean, give us your interpretation of what went on in the early part of the week with Quantum. It's not easy swapping the afterguard out, putting Terry Hutchison onto the helm and Lucas coming in as the tactician. That's a difficult one. They're obviously massively experienced team, loads of talent on board. What's your interpretation there?
I missed you a bit there, Tony. Which boat were you talking about? Sorry, Andy.
About the Quantum, just at the beginning of the week. I mean, they put 21 points on the table over 3 races. What do you see going on there?
Yeah, look, I imagine a shuffle of the afterguard and different responsibilities. You know, so always a little bit of a learning curve when you do those sort of things. So definitely slightly different to what they're used to. Seems like they ironed it out on day 3 and day 4. I'm sure they'll be in the hunt today.
And who else? I mean, Platoon have had a difficult regatta. What do you see going on there, perhaps? I mean, they're normally super consistent. This is Geordie Califat's home waters. What have you heard?
Yeah, I haven't heard much from those guys, to be honest, but they were having a crew briefing this morning about today's conditions. They'll be strong in this offshore, shifty stuff. John Kosecki's a legend when it comes to tactics, and Geordie's very intimate with this bay. And the volley boats get up and get going downwind, so decent chance that Platoon and the likes of Avesta will be quite quick today. A little bit choppy, 2-foot chop, and, you know, that might play into their hands a little bit.
Good. Now, in terms of potential match racing going on between Sled and Phoenix, you'd imagine that they'll try to sail their own race first time out for the first race anyway.
Yeah, there's a few different ways of looking at those scenarios. I would kind of think just on overall points, because as you say, Qantas not too far behind. To sail this first race to get a good result, stay within two of each other, and then, yes, definitely if we see a second race, there could be some very tight covering going on. I'm sure they've got an eye on each other. Looks like we're not far off something happening here now.
Yeah, we've got 2 minutes or so, but so there's a problem with the interlodge then, as we can see.
Yeah, they had a little delay, but looks like they're under control. Interlodge, Platoon, and are carrying J4s, which suggests they think it's going to be pretty. And all the rest of the boats are on full size jibs or 3.5.
Mm-hmm. Who else has impressed you this week in terms of winning races?
Sorry, say that again?
I'm saying who else has been impressive this week? It's been a really up and down regatta, considering the track has been so one-sided.
Sure. It's an interesting race course when it's a light thermal sea breeze, and in the middle of the bay you can get a little bit of right, you can get a little bit of left. A few boats have maybe not performed up to their expectations, and a few boats are had a win, but then had a point. It seems to me that the boats that are going fastest, be it Sled, Phoenix and Quantum, are certainly the most consistent and, probably the ones to definitely back on a day like today.
Listen, I'll come back to you in just a minute or two, Smithy. We're going to do the start. We're 50 seconds until the start. I'll come back to you very, very shortly. So that's Alan Smith giving us some colour on the water. Fantastic talent, but we're now looking at 45 seconds or so before the start. Quantum Racing lining up towards the committee boat end of the line. We've also got Sled out on that side. We're looking for the Phoenix more midline. Remember, this is entirely new wind direction. We're racing in 050, 17 to 18 knots, and this is completely new for the team. Sled lining up at the committee boat end of the line. They're lying second. They're 2 points behind the Phoenix. So as we were saying, looking very much like the two main protagonists are going to sail their own race. At 5 seconds to go, Sled coming in nicely at the committee boat end of the line. Phoenix pushing harder on the line, on the gun. Can't afford to be over, but looks a little bit like Phoenix had a marginally better start. They're starting in the middle of the line, just bow forward on Sled just now. Interlodge starting more on the pin, so from the left, Interlodge, Allegra, Platoon well forward of the group on the left, sailing high and pretty well just now. Quantum Racing actually not so good off the line, although they have Prevetsa underneath them, will start squeezing them progressively. So just now, between the top two protagonists, the main advantage really is with Phoenix just now. Phoenix have a decent lane. They have Vayu below them, and a nice big gap to windward up to Prevetsa. So Alan Smith on the water telling us that he feels the left will be favoured. So pretty even just now. Interlodge then, having had that problem, seem to have things under control, going off the pin end of the line. Nicely forward on Allegra. So if you've just joined us, we're into the first race of the day. We're racing in this offshore northeasterly. Advantage seems to be in the early left just now. So So Quantum have some work to do. As indeed do Sled. Gladiator not such a good start, having to clear out, going out to the right side. And hopefully we've got Alan Smith back. Smithy, how's it looking now? A couple of minutes after the start. The left looks the strongest just now.
Yeah, definitely looks like to me Interlodge had the nice start off the pin end. Nicely settled in. They've got control of the race, I would say, depending on how the boats just to the right of them stack up. But Sled's had to tack out. They had a very nice start at the boat end, but, they're probably playing a little lefty here. Breeze looks good on their left-hand side now, like they're just under a nice little shift. It'll be interesting to see if Interlodge gets out of the left side clear ahead of their immediate boat. So Quantum suffering a bit in the middle.
What about Phoenix? Phoenix seems to be reasonably comfortable with Value just underneath them, not hurting them for the moment, and nobody immediately to weather.
Yeah, it looks like they're in a little right shift. Phoenix at the moment got a nice gap to Lewis and Bayou, as you pointed out. They're probably not uncomfortable. It's just a matter of whether they can stop boats crossing them or they tack under on a left shift. I think they're in good shape. Probably right now you've got the tracker in front of you, but I would say that Phoenix possibly has the advantage. Having said that, Sled can come out of the right with a nice little righty.
All to play for anyway. We'll come back to you in just a couple of minutes, getting up to the... when we get up to the top mark, we'll go back and join Alan Smith, who's on our TV boat. As I say, sailed on the Phoenix previously and did the Olympics with Don Cowie originally, way back in 2000. So he knows the sled team. Sailed with Ran, won the TP52 World Championship with Ran. So still slight advantage, I think, with the Phoenix in the title battle just now on that left side, though. And the separation between Phoenix and Sled. Sled tacking now and possibly coming in for a little righty, a little lift. In general, the trend seemed to be to the right, looking at the track of particularly Prevezza and Phoenix. Both had a little righty. So the key thing for Phoenix is putting boats in this race between them and Sled. Just now they have 4 or 5. Meantime, Allegri having to go behind Quantum. Now then, this little lefty. On the left, I think, big knock we're seeing for Prevezza, Phoenix, Interlodge and Platoon. And as Smithy rightly pointed out, on Platoon we have Jordi Calafat, Olympic gold medalist who grew up racing and training on these waters. He's on the Platoon having chosen this left side. So with that little header, Phoenix have chosen to take it. Sled just a little bit of out of phase with that sequence. Certainly the left just now seemed to be strongest and getting stronger in this lift, which seems to be right, certainly almost right across to Quantum. Prevezza have been consistently highest and lying second on the water. Interlodge further to the left. Interesting that Platoon have gone furthest left. Kind of forced to go that far out. They were third or so in that lineup on that left side. However, that said, Gladiator going quite well out on the extreme right. Remember, they had to tack out, taking a couple of sterns off the line. Not the best of starts, but they're up to 4th. So maybe good pressure on that side and going quite well. But for me, all the time, sailing highest has been Prevezza. Prevezza lying 5th overall, 1st and a 7th yesterday. Opened with a 3rd. Further lift, or certainly Phoenix managing to sail a higher mode on that left side, perhaps getting up to trying to get up onto Vayu's line. So all the time looking good for Phoenix. One of the impressive things about Phoenix this week has been they have generally been very consistent, relatively risk-free. They had one time when they were over the start line in race 4. Certainly seemed happy to push the envelope on the start line there. So now watching Gladiator tacking back. They're quite high on starboard. But for me, the lift is consistently on that left side, watching for your reference all the time Prevezza and Phoenix. Gladiator making no immediate impression. If anything, I think perhaps going to end up either head-to-head with Sled or going behind Sled. It's more lifted just now, but what Sled don't want is to get any further involvement with Gladiator here when Phoenix are so strong. And in the end there, Sled having to go behind Gladiator. So drag race just now between Phoenix and Prevezza for the lead. Prevezza about 2 boat lengths ahead. Sled ending up furthest out to the right, so things looking really good for Phoenix at the moment. So I know we've got a big Phoenix fan base back in South Africa. Loads of questions and comments coming in yesterday. And even with my very poor arithmetic, I can see that with Phoenix in 2nd and Sled in 9th, Phoenix would almost win the regatta with the race to spare, but we're only 2/3 of the way up this windward leg, and we can see Prevezza taking a big knock. As we expected, this breeze shifting around, and it will shift more as we get towards the windward mark. Closer to the shore, we're racing, I think, almost directly in front of the airport. And Gladiator coming in a in a lift for a while, but not quite sure what's going on there with Prevetsa. Prevetsa came all the way across and bounced Gladiator back to the right, but at the same time appear to have lost the lead to a Phoenix. So getting quite interesting now as we get up towards the windward mark, as we expected. The breeze getting more and more shifty, bigger holes, bigger puffs.
Hi, Andy.
We've got Alan Smith then observing things just now. Things looking good for Phoenix, but it looks very shifty and puffy.
Absolutely. A bunch of boats came in from the left side. It's pretty brutal when you get starboard caught by a starboard tacker like Gladiator just got hold of a few boats. That upset the whole left side there. Phoenix got out clear, and Sled's not too far behind either. They've been just sort of trying to get left, but on the right side of the fleet. It's going to be a pretty tight mark rounding, I think, and they'll shoot off downwind, probably doing 18 to 20 knots, I'd imagine.
But what happened with the Prevetsa? Prevetsa seemed to go back at Gladiator and get, or certainly we saw Prevetsa sailing quite low for a while. It was just a shift, presumably.
I think Gladiator got a nice shift. You know, they're right in the hunt there. They might even be second currently. Got a little starboard tack piece of India Lodge had to get them. So as I say, the left side, they all just tangled each other up. They probably Sled and Quantum aren't too far off the money either, but there'll be a few boats in between. So pretty interesting race course, and it's all happening at pretty high speed.
Good stuff. Well, it's looking good. Good for Phoenix at the moment. Really, it couldn't be much better. They have 3 or 4 boats between them and Sled, and in a strong position. They've got Gladiator now underneath them. Quantum in 7th. A couple of blockers then, a couple of boats in between them and Sled. But of course, as we see the breeze getting shiftier and puffier as we get upwind, Smithy just saying it's going to be a high speed downwind, lots of puffs and lulls. There can be many more place changes downwind. However, it is Phoenix, the regatta leaders, leading into the top mark, just getting out to the starboard tack lay line in the next minute or so. Phoenix very quick on this upwind.
The biggest, yeah, exactly. That's more important.
Just coming a little bit bow down just to come round that protector mark. So a good upwind for Gladiator, for Tony Langley and his team. Not had the best of regattas. Best off so far this week has been a 5th in the first race. Been in the mix regularly, but unfortunately faded just a little bit. But they're in a strong position there, just chasing Phoenix in. Phoenix will tack now and go round the top mark. So Phoenix leading, then Gladiator round second. Prevetsa overlapped with Vayu and Sled. Just behind them then Platoon. And Quantum, I think, in 7th or 8th. And Allegra, I think, coming round in 9th. So there's the roundings then. Phoenix, Gladiator, Prevetsa, Vayu, Sled. Good upwind from Vayu. Of course, they're battling with the Gladiator. There's only a point between them, Gladiator in 8th, the Vayu in 9th. And unfortunately, Quantum needing to finish strong in this regatta, having had a good run from race 4 onwards. They've gone 2-2, 2-3-3. They're down in 8th. and Allegra 9th. So tough one for Quantum just now. Also Platoon ending up kind of pinned out on the left, going wide round the top. Not sure what's going on with Platoon, but focused at the moment on the battle between Phoenix and Sled. Sled in 4th, go for the early jibe. Phoenix carrying on. Oh yeah, sorry, just a little tracker anomaly there, unfortunately, but Platoon getting back into the fleet. So Phoenix happy to carry on for the meantime, I think. Their lead is over 100 metres on Gladiator. So boat speeds up as fast as we've seen this week and a little bit more. Sled on a charge down that left side. Only boat to have gone that way. So Alan Smith, Sled jibed early, going down the left and going fast. How do you see it?
Yeah, they were right in the middle of the pack there after getting rolled into the top mark. So they're a bit compromised. They probably like to stretch their legs, get out by themselves. There's actually a really nice right-hand puff over here, so they're probably going quite quick, I imagine, at the moment. The boats that 4-away set, like Phoenix and Gladiator, Prevetta, had to wait about a minute or so for a nice little bit of pressure. I'd say Phoenix, as long as they don't mess it up, they'll should prevail in this one, but who knows? I mean, it's not over till it's over. Sled's got to pick their moment to go back. You get out on the right side of the course there, and then your lefties coming down might dissipate a little bit. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah, okay, that's lovely. And Gladiator, a good upwind then out on the right side, pretty much all the way up, getting round in second. So there's no obvious side on that beat, was there?
No, I guess not. The smart money was on the left side, but then it's all about keeping your lane. Professor did a nice job, and they were just a little bit unlucky to get caught by some nice work by Paul Goodison and the Gladiator guys, and that sort of upset their. Otherwise, they would have gone around first. It was only a couple of metres in it, I imagine. Quite interesting stuff, but it's definitely shifty, and it's about staying in the veins of wind. Kind of feel like Sled might be on a little loss out here, to be honest, for the next minute or so. Let's see what happens.
Indeed, let's see what happens. But Sled were 5th a couple of minutes ago. We've got them in 7th on the tracker. But as Smithy said, really anything can happen in this shifty breeze. Indeed, at the moment, seeing the gain to Phoenix and Prevetta. Sorry, the gain to Prevetta and Gladiator on that right side. But perhaps Phoenix feeling they need to cover Sled much more than win this race. But certainly no obvious gain to Sled so far. Maybe on this jibe, having just jibed, we'll see them come back. But for me just now, Phoenix just trying to keep a cover on Sled, do the sensible thing. But meantime, all to the good of Gladiator. Going a little bit better in this stronger wind pressure. At 17 or 18 knots on the start line. So Platoon gained a couple of boats. But it's very open down this run. Much more so than we have seen. But yeah, Phoenix going across to stay with Sled a little bit. Gladiator staying right and gaining against Prevetsa. But Vayu, Gladiator's main rivals, not too far behind in 5th. These conditions really just, I think, what we needed to shake things up. Break the cycle which has prevailed all the way through the week of this light to moderate sea breeze. We've probably averaged 10 knots of sea breeze over the first 8 races. So Phoenix giving up the right, coming across to be in the same piece of water really as Sled, certainly the same side of the course. May still be in front of Prevetsa, converging just now. Gladiator really in their own lane. So there's the boat speeds, yeah, well, Gladiator doing 16, 17 knots. Prevetsa 16, Phoenix 16. So these two come back together. Phoenix on starboard, Prevetsa jibing. So this has to be good for Gladiator. Gladiator appeared to be quite bowed down with a nice angle. Phoenix just now have 6 boats between them and their main rival Sled. Wonder whether we can have a look at the projected overalls if things stand the way they are. But we'll do that in a couple of minutes. We've just lost our
Gladiator will have to drive, yeah, there you go.
one of our technicians. Can we have a quick look at the overall standings if we could? Or projected standings. I think we can work out what it would be. Yes, at the moment then Phoenix on 24 points, Sled on 30. Prevetsa have moved up to 3rd overall. But it's just a point between them, Interlodge and Quantum, so everything to play for that 3rd step on the podium. But still 10 points between 2nd and 3rd. And now 6 points between the Phoenix and Sled. So that's the projected results. If things stand like this through to the finish line. So things looking good for Phoenix, gaining 4 more points just now. So the leeward gate, pretty open. Just now, looks like Gladiator are going to lead round the right-hand mark. Looking upwind. Smithy, tell us about this leeward gate. We've got Gladiator on the right-hand mark, looking upwind.
Yeah, Gladiator had their best rounding for their positioning coming to the bottom mark, and Prevetsa had sort of the right mark looking downwind. Phoenix was in the middle. I think the loss for Phoenix down the run was just really covering up Sled, not letting them get away with something from being a little bit too separated. So probably good work by them staying between the man and the hoop, their man being Sled. Definitely down that run, you saw what Gladiator did. They just ripped down the left side. Phoenix got a little bit of a hole by covering up Sled. So that was their loss. But probably a smart thing to do for the overall. I still like the left personally. Let's see what happens.
Indeed, but so Phoenix playing it safe, being pragmatic, as you say. This is really for them.
Yes, I think so.
This is about sealing a title, I think, for the team. Sled going.
Yeah,
Yeah, go on.
yeah, no, absolutely. It is a little shifty and puffy, and there was some pretty good holes developed down that run. So Sweden was a little bit hung out to dry on there because they sort of had to make something happen from their position. And I say covering them up. Right now, the breeze is in across the course. And most people are on short tack, which suggests a left shift, except for Sled and Quantum, obviously. Sorry, Bay.
Indeed, but in the meantime, also good to see Prevetsa up there. We're having a big battle for the third step in the podium. Prevetsa have that in the meantime, but it's really between Prevetsa, Quantum and Interlodge. Prevetsa have had a little bit of an up and down season in the early regattas, the first and second regattas of the season, and so they're in third just now on the leaderboard.
Yeah, Interlodge is pretty well placed, a little bit compromised with where Phoenix is on them. Pretty much everyone's on board. They're hanging out in this left shift as long as they can. Most of the set up, you might see Interlodge come back and be in reasonable shape. Maybe possibly in third.
Good.
Same phase, obviously.
Excellent. Listen, we'll come back to you in a few minutes. Alan, that's Alan Smith on our TV boat giving us some informed comment. But in the moment it's a Gladiator then leading Phoenix out on this right side looking upwind. Gladiator not having won a race this regatta, or indeed since Bayona they put one win on the table there. So I'm quite sure Tony Langley enjoying this moment. Though up against the regatta leaders just now. And a particular rivalry, of course, between Tom Slingsby and Paul Goodison. So they'll be enjoying this moment equally. But all the time, Phoenix team focused on closing out this regatta title. Trying to stay out of trouble as much as possible, as we saw them coming across the course to cover Sled rather than getting too involved with Gladiator and Prevetsa. But in the meantime, Prevetsa on that left side of the course appear to have lost out slightly. Gains for the in the meantime do seem to be on for Phoenix and Gladiator. So Phoenix, I think, unfortunately gave us that one of the biggest moments of last season when they were in control of the World Championship and had the season title in sight when that kite blew up on the last run, and could do nothing other than let boats sail past them. So that was a really tough moment for them, and really since then they've been super motivated. Came close also in Cape Town on home waters when we were there in beginning of 2020. Led the regatta then, and unfortunately had a technical breakdown, if I remember rightly. It cost them, I think, a winch. However, I think they finished up second there. But just now then going upwind, having tacked away in the lee of Gladiator slightly. There's enough separation not to get too involved. Prevetsa over on that left side looking like they're in a nice lefty, a nice lift, which may be good for Sled. Sled are over there as well. Has ever got any questions? do post them on our social media channels, and we'll try and answer them as quickly as possible. Good run then from Sled, getting up from 9th to 4th. Fifth at the moment, very much more in the mix than they were in the early part of the race. And out on that left side with Provezza. However, it's been a pretty tough regatta all in all for Allegra, lying in 7th just now. But as ever, you want to finish strong on the last day. And this would be a big motivation for a Gladiator if they could hold on to the win. At the moment we're going upwind, they're battling with Phoenix just a little bit. Sufficient separation, I think, out to windward. So important generally through the whole fleet to have a good day occasionally. Keeps everybody, the team, motivated, builds up the self-confidence. Similarly, we saw Interlodge leading the regatta in the middle of the week. They've been had a few good scores. Remember, they went 1-3-3 in the middle of the week. Then unfortunately visited the basement down in 9th in that one race in the middle of the week in race 5. However, they're in the mix, battling, as I said, with Provezza and Quantum Racing for the third step in the podium. That third step looking a little bit more elusive for Quantum, who are down in 8th. Still close between the Gladiator and Phoenix. And a gap back to Interlodge. Provezza maybe have lost out or just invested further out to that left side. Interlodge just ahead of them, more in the middle of the course. But I think we'll see Provezza strengthen their position along with Allegra on that left. Phoenix going back to the left, looking for that to gain something from that left side, but also I think probably as much to separate away from Gladiator and cover Sled. Sled, they will tack probably just upwind of Sled, but before Allegra. And indeed, there they go. So once again, evidence that Phoenix are keeping it safe, keeping it tight, covering Sled, staying away from the Gladiator. They're very happy for Gladiator if they win, I'm quite sure, Phoenix. Trying to stay with as little involvement with Gladiator as possible. Value over on the right. Quantum also appeared to be in a little righty, a little header. Whereas over on the left, as we said, Provezza now getting a nice lift. And Phoenix also getting a lift. Sailing a higher angle. Look at the angle they're sailing relative to a Gladiator. So we're getting towards the top of the first beat of race number 9 of 10. Gladiator leading, Phoenix in second. Phoenix's main title rivals, Sled, in 6th just now. They were 2 points behind going onto the water this morning. Apologies for those of you around the world who have to watch during the unsocial hours, but as we said earlier in the day, this offshore breeze, this Mistral, is likely to get into conflict with the thermal breeze, the sea breeze. So we have a limited time span to be racing, a limited time window. And this breeze will start to get lighter in the afternoon. So Allegra in the mix, actually not too far behind Provezza. In fact, really side by side as they come in from that left side. Phoenix, I think, just sailing slightly lower, and the breeze phases back to the right, looking at Gladiator's course. As we said, it certainly gets funkier, more shifty, bigger gusts and lulls as we get up towards the windward mark. But great conditions for this finale. You just see the trails of the boats changing more dynamically as we get into the gustier conditions. Certainly saw a big header for Gladiator, and Gladiator now tacking, and that gain on the left side appearing to be to Provezza and Allegra, potentially moving up to second and third. Still think there's I think there's a possibility actually Allegra and Provezza may get round ahead of Gladiator, but certainly a gain on the left, and that gain increasing as we get up the final stages of this beat. Now Phoenix, I don't think will still be not too concerned. They have 4 boats between them and Sled, and Sled are 270 metres or so behind, so things looking good for Phoenix at the moment, and the approach to the top mark. Gladiator I think tacking in the next few seconds. Be pretty close with Phoenix though. So Alan Smith, we're looking at the windward mark, close between the Phoenix, Gladiator, Allegra and Provezza. How are you seeing it?
Yeah, about all 3 boats almost, as you can probably tell from the tracker. But so Provezza leads around by a couple of metres, Phoenix on their windward side, and Gladiator almost over it, and Allegra next. Super close considering after 3 legs of racing, that's how close it is.
In the meantime, Phoenix, just what they need to do is keep it tight, stay out of trouble. They've got Sled back in 7th, I think, on the approach to the top mark. How's the breeze then? We're still in 15, 16 knots, something like that?
Yeah, a little bit lighter currently. It looks like everyone will do a barroway set, a little lefty pressure coming back down from the airport. Phoenix is just set with a little bit of a twist. Hopefully they get that out, which looks like it's going to come out. Yep, so they're away. And I think they're covering up the left side up the beat was primarily just to make sure they stayed in front of Sled. The Gladiator just did a little wipeout, so they've just dropped the 4th.
Oh.
And Quantum coming around the 8th, very nice.
What happened to Quantum? Quantum seemed to have dropped a little bit.
Yeah, they didn't either get left or right on that beat. It was significantly shifty, and I think Interlodge did a pretty nice job of staying in phase. They've probably held not a bad spot, considering. Basically, you can't sail up the middle on this race course. You've got to get one side or the other and stay in phase.
Indeed. So In the meantime then, Phoenix doing a pretty nice job. As Alan Smith just telling us, it's very shifty, very puffy. Gladiator, he said, a little wipeout cost them just a boat length or something, losing out a little bit to Prevezza and Phoenix. So a little anomaly just now with their tracker positions, but for sure Phoenix leading, or certainly very close with Prevezza. Gladiator in third, Allegra still in fourth, but close with Interlodge. Quantum and Vayu really have a lot to do. So could this be Prevezza's second win in 3 races? Just on cue. They need a good score to keep them or give them a chance of finishing on the podium. Winners here in 2017, and they were well set up for the circuit actually in 2018. But keen followers of the circuit will remember that in the first race they lost their mast, and that was really the end of their season in terms of challenging for the title or challenging for the podium. Really tough times for the Prevezza, but here they are leading this first race of the day. The Wizard of Palma Bay, Nacho Postigo, navigator who's raced in this fleet since the very, very beginning, since 2005. Nacho won the inaugural title on Pisco Sur, racing with the Vasco Vascotto. So that's the projected results table just now. Phoenix will, if things stay the same, Phoenix will go into this last race with a 7-point lead over Sled. Sled would have 9 points on Prevezza, and Prevezza would end up being 2 points up on Quantum. Quantum just slipping off the podium just now because of this 8th place that they're lying just now as we get down towards probably halfway down this run. But still super close in the middle of the table. Quantum 1 point up on Interlodge. Platoon 4 points behind Quantum. Then Allegra in 7th. Gladiator making big gains in terms of points relative to their principal rivals Vayu, but I think this would be a nice way to finish this regatta with a strong day for the Gladiator, but they will be rueing the fact that they were leading going into that top mark. That small error just cost them a little bit. And now they're fighting with Interlodge. Allegra up to 3rd. Edo Stead and Nick Ash are working some magic with Andy Soriano's team. I think my impression is they're at their best downwind in the puffy, shifty conditions. Certainly go well in a little bit of breeze. So still pretty open, really. Not too much between the top 3 boats, so they have moved over 100 metres clear. But the race just now for the lead is between Prevezza and Phoenix. Prevezza really do have the bit between their teeth, sailing low, sailing direct or more directly towards the finish line. Like I said, so important for these different teams to have a good day or two now and again. Just rebuilds the self-confidence, rebuilds the motivation. But Prevet's very quick compared to Phoenix, I think, just in a lighter phase. Quick question coming in from Simon Z, just asking what the sea state is in this offshore breeze. Well, according to Alan Smith, we had about a 2-foot chop at the start line, which will diminish as we go up towards the shore. Windward mark set more or less in front of the airport. So a tussle then between Prevetsa and Phoenix. Prevetsa hold the advantage just now, 30 or 40 metres up on the regatta leaders. Quantum appear to be through sled just now. Now they seem to have had a particular rivalry this regatta more often than we care to remember. Sled and Quantum battling coming down the final run. Remember that race the other day when Sled just picked Quantum by a second on the finish line. But Phoenix in the meantime taking it to Prevetsa as best they can. There's only 35, 36 metres. And as we said, shifty, puffy, gusty. Platoon having a decent run. Prevetsa jibing now and will point almost at the finish line. Phoenix just outside. Looking good for Prevetsa, but there's only 5 or 10 metres in it. Prevetsa do have the upper hand, but Phoenix sufficiently far out to the right. Alan Smith, how's it looking between Prevetsa and the Phoenix for this sprint for the finish line?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So Prevetsa's just jived now. Phoenix is on their right-hand side. Looks like Pinion favoured. There's a decent chance if Phoenix does a nice job, they may beat Prevetsa here. A little bit of a luck possibly going on. Let's see what happens.
Well, you...
I know. Prevetsa's going to prevail here by a couple of metres. Wow. And the Prevetsa Chokeboat guys are extremely happy. Phoenix second and Allegra a nice third. Allegra
not far behind in the end.
Super close. They did a nice job of getting out to the left-hand side looking down and they come in a nice left shift, so good on them.
Good on them. And Interlodge, we think, probably going to get fourth, but in the meantime, this battle going on between Sled, Platoon and Quantum, and that's not good for the Sled.
Hey! Yeah, it looks like Sled's going to have trouble getting around Platoon and Quantum, so they're going to be stuck with an ace, which is probably not what they wanted on the first race of the last day, but Gladiator's coming fourth and Interlodge fifth. Yeah, just going across the line now.
So overall, things looking pretty good for Tom Slingsby, for Cameron Dunn and the guys on the Phoenix. Probably going into this last race with a lead of 6 or 7 points. Depends how Sled get through this finish line. At the moment, they're in 8th. So it could be as much as 8 points of advantage for Phoenix. But certainly the advantage is with the South African team. Gladiator coming through for 4th. Kind of bittersweet for them. They were leading. A little bit of an error around the top mark. Anyway, they got then Platoon come through with 6th. 7th is Quantum, and 8th in the end is going to be Sled. So Sled, unfortunately, really didn't get off the line and into the mix on the left side. The left side did seem to prevail up that first upwind. Phoenix got that bit right. Unfortunately, Sled struggled just a bit on that first upwind, but they got back into it slightly, but never in the top 3, top 4. And in the end, unfortunately, Vayu coming through with a ninth. I mean, they were in the mix as well. But so then, that's the penultimate race of the regatta, and the advantage increasing for the Phoenix team. Just a second behind Prevets, according to our timings. Allegra 5 seconds behind Preveza, but Preveza getting that second win of the week, and that should take them up to 3rd place overall. Hopefully we can see the overall standings after 9 races, ideally. For sure, Phoenix extending their lead and looking good into the last race, and that will be really, they just need to sail tight, sail clean, and have no disasters, and they should be able to lift their first regatta title, as Smithy pointed out, former member of the Phoenix team who was on board, who during their second place, I think, in South Africa when they were leading that regatta, he was pointing out that they haven't won an overall regatta title in the 4-year history of the Phoenix. So there we go, actually in the end, an 8-point lead going into the final race for Phoenix in a 9-boat fleet. Sled then in second, and a secure second. They have 8 points on Preveza, so maybe Sled going to have to face up to reality. They're going to be second. Preveza then have just a single point, so a match race you'd imagine for 3rd step in the podium, and things going much better for Preveza, finishing with 2 firsts in the last 3 races. Quantum then in 4th, they're 2 points up on Interlodge. Again, they'll want to finish strong. Interlodge in 5th on 42 points, Platoon 45. The worst regatta finish for Platoon for quite some considerable time. They have really had some up and down fortunes here from memory on the Bay of Palma. I'm sure they've been 6th before from memory a few years back. But interesting, isn't it, how some teams profit on the Bay of Palma. They love it. I'm thinking particularly of Preveza. Sled have done well here. And the Bay of Palma is very much where the Phoenix team started out in the TP52, going back, I think, 5 years. They did the Copa del Rey on a TP52 with Hasso Plattner. Hasso loved it enough to invest in a program, and then had 2 Phoenix boats at one point. So 8-point lead going into the final race. Join us for that race in a few minutes' time. Watch social media for the exact timings, and we'll see you in a short time. So welcome back to Puerto Portals. We're going to the final race of the Puerto Portals 52 Super Series sailing week here in Mallorca. So Phoenix going into this final race with a lead of 8 points. They really have very, very little to do. Their regatta title is pretty much in the bag. But we're going to go hopefully on the water and join Alan Smith. Smithy, how's it looking? We're at just inside 45 seconds to the start line, the start gun. How's it looking?
Yeah, so I'm a little ahead of you, Andy. 2-1 gun now. So maybe might be some boats over in this one. Let's see. Yeah, individual recall. I think sled's over, to be honest.
Oh dear.
Yeah, it's definitely over. They're going back. I don't know. Let's see. The X flag's still up, so there might be more boats. Yeah, another boat. Phoenix over.
Oh dear.
Sorry, excuse me, not Phoenix, Platoon.
Oh.
I
I had my heart in my mouth for a moment.
Yeah, yeah, those two boats, Platoon and Sled. Nice start down the pin end by Allegro, won the pin, and then Phoenix, then Quantum, then Regatta.
So Phoenix keeping it fairly safe off the start line. Unfortunately, not the case for Sled, having to go back and recross. And of course, they have 8 points in hand over Prevezza. So it's going to be a little bit of a battle that Sled didn't want in this last race. Need to get back in contact with Prevezza. Prevezza in fourth, in the middle of the fleet, going off the start line. Allegra and Phoenix going out. So Smithy, a good start from Allegra and Phoenix then going out to the left side.
Yeah, that's right. Those three guys also in Quantum, they look like they're in a touch of the right-hander, heading the right way, which means you probably get a little left shift at some point. Maybe even slightly between left already. I'd say Allegra's got the upper hand. They're definitely poking their nose out a little bit. The wind was slightly less, but it seems like it's puffed up. All the boats are on J3s. A couple of boats with J4s have changed up to a bigger jet.
So what kind of wind speed do you have?
15 to 17, 18 knots.
So still plenty breezy.
Yeah, Gladiator's having a little sniff out here on the right-hand side, picking up wind, along with Sled. Sled's got to go and do some work and find some extra special shifts there to get back into the race. But, you know, in this fleet, it's never over till it's over. And they're all pretty good yachties out here, so you never count anyone out.
Indeed, as you say, though, Sled having some work to do, unfortunately, over the start line there. Phoenix started solid, and knowing they really just have to get round the course, and top 3, top 4 would really add the icing to the cake. Remember, we're always talking about the series standings, the circuit points, and at this regatta for sure also Phoenix have got past Platoon and are presently lying second in the overall standings behind Quantum Racing. And once again, Quantum Racing always thinking about the overall points as well. They're up in third just now, so after that 7th in the previous race, then really need to minimise the damage, to minimise the effects of the bigger scores by countering them with a good second race. And Quantum are third, but Allegra leading at the moment. Good start from Andy Soriano's team down towards the pin end of the line, along with Phoenix and Quantum. Then a gap back to Prevezza in the middle of the course. So I'm pretty sure with that it's really between Quantum and Prevezza for the third step on the podium. There's just a point between them. 39 points to Prevezza, 40 points to Quantum. Quantum with the upper hand between the two of them at the moment. Prevezza, figure in their position just now, will continue to push out to that left side. However, all the time we're watching that right side of the course, and where Sled had to recross. They're already up to 5th, sailing a high angle. Look at the angle that Platoon are sailing. Meantime, Gladiator in a knock, bow down. Now that must come back, you'd imagine, for them with a lift on starboard. But really, the left and right were quite even, but now the left started to come good. Looking at Phoenix's angle as they tack, they look good. Allegra going a little bit further, though, if anything, in a lift. Couple of questions coming in from our social media channels. Who's the best team? Asking El Bayonita, asking who's the best team in my opinion. I'm unfortunately not allowed to have an opinion. And what are your predictions in the championship? Well, the championship is certainly much closer after this regatta. And you kind of, in retrospect, you reflect on the quantum position coming into this regatta, with the team saying, well, we practiced in Valencia early on in the season with Terry steering, and with change of tactician with Doug DeVos not on the boat. They practiced like that with Lucas Calabresia's tactician. They practiced in these roles in Valencia back in, I think it was March. And also the team telling us that Lucas and Terry did a regatta in the J70s in the Charleston race week, or certainly in Charleston, and so they're used to changing roles, used to Terry steering, but it's a big step up onto the start line of the 52 Super Series in TP52s, and obviously that took a little bit longer to bed in. And now again a change of breeze, a change of regime, just when you kind of felt that the team had settled back to normal service, as you might call it. So Allegra Phoenix just now, Gladiator in the mix out on that right side. Gladiator getting a 4th. Could they get another top 5 to finish for the British team? That would be nice for them. But just now, the battle for the podium, well, it's between Quantum and Prevezza, and Quantum in 3rd, Prevezza in 5th. That gives 3rd place to a Quantum, though Prevezza potentially in a stronger position to windward. Quantum are bow forward on them. Really just looking at the different veins of pressure, albeit we have, Smithy said, 17-18 knots of breeze in the gusts. If you look at the angle that Prevezza are sailing relative to Phoenix and Allegra, I figure Prevezza are a little bit bowed down, trying to speed up and get over Quantum. That's their key driver at the moment. A great battle between the two of them. And the main thing for Prevezza, as much as anything, is in this lovely little match race. 4th and 5th, they're side by side. The main thing for Prevezza is not to have a boat between them and Quantum. So hence perhaps the reason why they accelerated bow down, just to drag a little bit faster than Quantum, and this is working for them now, so we'll cross Quantum. So Provezza across and looks set to continue. You wonder whether they would go back with Quantum, given that the left seems to be offering a nice lefty, a nice lift, progressive lift up to the windward mark. Interlodge, unfortunately, in ninth just now, then dropping out of that what was a three-way battle for third overall. But Allegri then, Andy Soriano's team with Edo Stead and Nick Asher after guard, working with Francesco Mongelli, navigator. Coming strong in this last race, 100 metres ahead. Unfortunately, Allegri are 6 points behind Platoon. Let's have a very quick look at the projected overall rankings. We have that on the wings. Let's have a quick look at that just for your interest just now. That's the projected overall rankings just now, if positions stayed the same. So that's for the season. And we see Phoenix 3 points ahead of Quantum. So Quantum need places back on this race as much as they can as they head towards Scarlino in September. August off for the TP52s. Plenty of other sailing and family holidays and all things like that. Platoon dropping to third. So who would have thought there would have been such a big upset, but everything to play for. And this is of course the midpoint of the season. However, Allegri, if anything, just extending. I think as much as anything, Phoenix will just sail clean, not get involved with that battle over there between Provezza and Quantum. So for sure then the circuit title is wide open again. So I'm right, yeah, there was 14 points between Quantum and Platoon coming into this regatta. Quantum were on 52, Platoon on 66, Phoenix on 69. So Phoenix have pulled back more than 17 points. I think in the end, was it 21 points? They've pulled back against Quantum Racing. And Platoon have dropped to third. But there are two regattas left, of course. Scarlino and Tuscany in September, and then to October, the big finale in Barcelona. And when you looked at when you looked at the Quantum winning two regattas back to back reasonably comfortably, you kind of started to think that the writing was on the wall for the season. But when you look at the back end of last season, how close it was going into the last days of the season, albeit a regatta season. It could still be very close when it comes to Barcelona. So looking like Allegra will lead round this top mark. I think almost certainly from memory for the first time this regatta. So top mark looking like Allegra leading from Phoenix, Quantum ahead of Provezza, Smithy.
Actually, Quantum's just had to duck in behind Provezza and then had to dip Gladiator. So now Quantum looks like going around in 5th place. Provezza 3rd. So it's all on for their points for 3rd and 4th. Fascinating race on the left there, going upwind.
Indeed, but a solid upwind for Phoenix, and Allegra launched out in first.
Yeah, Allegra won the pin, got the choice of the left side, stayed in phase. Ado did a great job, obviously, in their strategist, and yeah, they've got a handy lead right now. Great set, and they're off at probably doing 15 or 16 knots right now. The boats that were over, and Gladiator actually did the best out of that lot and managed to get around out of the right in 4th place. So the boats are over, a little suffering back in 6th and 7th.
So in the meantime then, in this battle for third step in the podium, the advantage is then with Provezza, you're telling us?
Yeah, that's right, Andy. Provezza's about 70, 80, 100 metres ahead of Gladiator, and with Quantum pretty close behind Gladiator. Nice big left shift at the top mark, and the boats are ripping off downwind on quite headed on starboard jibe.
So still got 15, 16 knots of breeze?
Yeah, and maybe a little more right now, possibly a touch more, maybe 17 to 18. And yeah.
Good stuff. We'll come back to you shortly. Thank you so much. Advantage Phoenix, advantage Provezza in terms of the podium places. Sled down in 7th just now. Have a little bit of work to do, but no massive crisis in the meantime. But really, they didn't need to be over, considering that there was really the chances of pulling back in the last race on Phoenix were so infinitesimally small. But as we keep saying, it's all about the season's title as well, and finishing on a high note each and every regatta. So there's 8 points between Sled and Provezza, and at the moment there are 3 boats between them. So here's the regatta standings as projected forward from the positions on the race course just now. Phoenix potentially winning this regatta by 12 points. That's a pretty healthy margin overall, and really I think throwing down the gauntlet for the season title as well. But anyway, there you go. Phoenix would be 12 points ahead. Platoon, so that's now the circuit standings. 94 points for Phoenix. Quantum 97. Platoon 11 points behind Quantum. Platoon have been runners up, I think, 3 times in 4 years. And Sled not so far out of it really. Anyway, back to the here and now Allegra then. Over 100 metres clear of Phoenix, and Phoenix 300 metres ahead of Provezza. I'm absolutely sure the Phoenix guys will not be relaxing for a second, but they will be aware and enjoying the moment, as indeed their fans and their team will be. Champagne moment and everything are lying ahead of them, but just now it's just great to watch the team doing what they do best. Especially when you've known heartbreak in the past. Been so close. So we're on the first run, leg 2 of 4, last race. And Puerto Portals, as ever, super popular venue. Teams love it. The venue love having us here. But it's not always the best breeze. I think of just from memory when we were here kind of starting our truncated season last year. We were here in late August and it was a pretty light week. And in fact we only got 6 of 8 races. And that was when Sled won by just a single point from Quantum Racing. Remember, racing on the last day was cancelled. And Sled had to wait that last day out and say won by a single point. And that was the situation at the end of the season as well, if you remember. On that occasion it was too windy when Sled won the title. And here in August last year, Phoenix were 3rd, only 4 points behind. If you remember, a little bit rusty. They had a 8th and a 7th. On the races 2 and 3, and that was really what cost Phoenix, who otherwise sailed a 3rd, a 4th, a 1st and a 3rd. So Provezza then now over 200 metres clear of Quantum Racing. Been a while since Provezza have been on the podium. And certainly we all remember 2017 when they won here, and they won in 2018 at the beginning of the season in Cadiz and Puerto Sherry. A really tight showdown then. Just looking at the boat speeds, the Allegra is our quickest out in the front. They're going down into stronger pressure in this offshore breeze, heading towards the leeward gate, explaining their being the quickest boat in the fleet just now and able to stretch correspondingly because of that. Nearly 200 metres ahead of Phoenix. So Allegra around first. Phoenix will be second. Fleet's spreading out more in this race. Pravetza and Gladiator. Will be next. So I'm sure for Pravetza, given the first two regattas, or certainly that first regatta they had in Bayona, a third here is going to feel like a win. Sled, I think, will be ruining being over the start line, but it's not really going to affect them in their terms of their overall position in this regatta. So Pravetza around in third, Gladiator and Quantum close. Everybody coming to the left-hand mark, looking upwind. As I say, this slightly more spread out, this race. See if we've got any, seem to be getting one or two questions or observations in on our social media channels. Graham Farden listening in Perth, Western Australia. Well done, Phoenix, and well done for Pravetza getting on the podium. So Phoenix fan base in Australia as well, as perhaps you might expect with Tom Slingsby. I think you could safely say Australia's top sailor just now, and many people would tell you he's the best sailor in the world, considering the breadth of boats that he sails on, from the Moth to Sail Grand Prix. And of course Tom will leave here and go directly to Plymouth. And how nice, I think, for him personally. Number of times he's come here on the heels of a Sail GP victory. I think he can go to Plymouth with his head held high, having finally won a 52 Super Series event. Having come so close. So credit to Allegri. Allegri have had, say, not their best regatta. They were very good in Cascais. Cascais is a regatta, a venue that they love. Were good in Menorca last year, but have struggled a little bit at times here, just in terms of consistency on what has been very much a one-way track. So nice for them to finish, as it looks like, 65-66 metre lead over the champions elect, and of course that also feels good. It's nice to win the last race, but it's nice to ideally as you see the advantage line shrinking rapidly, It is nice to finish with the champions on your stern, so let's hope that works out for the Allegra team. So Provezza then still holding third overall by virtue of the fact they have Quantum Racing in fifth and Gladiator between them. And from the Provezza team's viewpoint, long may it continue. Provezza doing everything they can to keep Gladiator behind them, a little bit of separation between them. Gladiator more up the middle of the pitch, Provezza out to the left. Meantime, Sled in 7th, Platoon in 6th, out on the right. Not too much between them in terms of distance to the windward mark. That's what we measure on the tracking. Already the plaudits, the congratulations flooding in for Team Phoenix. Indeed, from all over the world. Alan Staniforth from Longboat, Keith in Florida, one of our fans from yesterday, saying thanks for the great coverage, go Phoenix. Dean Wilson saying a huge effort by Tom Slingsby to get Phoenix into first place and win this regatta. Well, of course, congratulations to Tom Slingsby, but also massive congratulations to the whole team. And it is a big, cohesive, tight team. Fully resourced thanks to the family, Tino and Hasso Plattner. Unfortunately not able to be with us. Hasso was planning to be here and then had a health problem at the last minute, which he's now clear off and hopefully is watching. So top third of this second windward leg. Allegra leading. Once again, though, the left side really quite strong, even though we're in this north-easterly breeze. Look at the angle that Phoenix are sailing relative to Platoon. The Platoon out on that right side, though a little righty. I think a little lift for Gladiator, perhaps. That's what Paul Goodison's feeling, trying to get back at Provezza. And congratulations to Hasso. We're getting that in on social media. He's been doing this for a long time. Some fans also in Montenegro for the Phoenix team. Sled battling back as best they can after being over the start line. Still nothing that Quantum seemed to be able to do to get back at Provezza, but I think actually Quantum gaining slightly on Gladiator. Gladiator going back at, I think possibly, certainly in a righty just now, I would say Gladiator. Paul Goodison kind of more sailing the shifts up the middle of the course. And not doing too badly with it. But look at that lead then now for Allegra. Allegra over 200 metres clear, so 200 metres between Phoenix and Allegra, and over 200 metres between Phoenix and Provezza, and then 100 or so metres between Provezza and Gladiator. But the key thing for Provezza is keeping a boat between them and Quantum. Phoenix pushing out to the port tack ley line. Just with the luxury of just sailing the shifts, as indeed have Allegra just now. Now then, Sled actually not that far behind Quantum Racing. How many times have I said? And most recently in the last race, just saying how often Quantum and Sled have gravitated towards one another. And we're kind of seeing that again now, only 20 metres between them. This could be another match race down the last run. But isn't it fascinating how these regattas play out so often, you know? We kind of looked back at the start of the event at the forecast. It looked very much like we were getting the sea breeze all the way through. And once again, we have this beautiful finale in a different breeze, a northeasterly, to upset the momentum, upset all the patterns that we've had all through the week. I'd never say it was getting boring, but even for the teams, they learn the geometry of the course so well when the sea breeze is so consistent over a week. It's great to then upset everything on this last day. And even from a very simple practical point of view, it's nice to go racing at 11 o'clock in the morning and potentially be done by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Number of days this week, of course, we've been starting at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And this time we should be done and dusted. And at the moment, looking like they'll add a little bit of extra drinking time for the Phoenix team. It's a great team spirit, and super professional, but they like to sit after racing most days and have a quiet drink or two between them. Not sure it'll be very quiet this evening. So Allegra well clear round the top mark. So interesting. They were still battling our sled and Quantum. Quantum maybe even losing platoon. This right side coming in strong towards the top of the beat. Indeed, evidence of the righty is Allegra jibing early, going down the more towards the left side, and Quantum ending up on the wrong side of that and losing a couple of places potentially. I think they're going to have to end up going behind the sled and platoon. So it's not over till it's over, but looking good for Phoenix. You'd say that more so knowing what happened to them before. But this is the last race, the last run, and Alan Smith knows the Phoenix team well. Smithy, what do you think the boys on Phoenix will be thinking at the moment then down this last run?
Yeah, I'm sure they're all pretty excited and possibly a little relieved, after a bit of disappointment last year, making a spinnaker of, near the end of the regatta. So this will be sort of just desserts for them. And I know they'll be having a beer tonight and celebrating for sure. They're well started today by those guys. Allegra right now is having a 6-foot race, and after having a glamorous start, they've just basically sailed perfectly. 8's pretty good at around here, especially in this wind direction. And Professor, so 3rd and 4th, they've done a nice job. Quantum didn't have a great beat. Got a little stuck in behind some traffic and trying to make things happen. It's been a fascinating race. The second beat and last run has been and is quite spread out. But, back to the Phoenix boys, all credit to those guys, their team, management, shore team, everybody. It's a feather in their cap to finally win one after 4 years of trying, and it just shows that they've matured as a team on the international yacht racing stage.
Indeed. Now tell us, you know the team extremely well. What's the essence of the team? What's at the heart of that team? They're very South African centric. They love to have the boys around. They like to have a younger team as possible, so keep trading old guys out like me. Fair enough. And they keep working hard. And Tony does a nice job of leading the team. And obviously, Hasso when he's there as the patron, and Tina when they get a chance to turn up. They come and what it's all about. I'm sure Hasso's watching it on TV today and just wishing he was here, but I'm sure we'll see him in the later stage. All credit to them. They've had a great day today with a couple of seconds. And what about on the technical side, on the speed loop, as it were? Who looks after the development, and how does that progress from regatta to regatta and year to year? Who's at the heart of that?
I've been away for a little while now, so for sure they would have made leaps and bounds. They've tried different things, which they changed back to previous spin for this regatta, and they seem to be happy with that. I went sailing the other day on a practice day on Interlodge for fun, and I was amazed at just the level that those guys are sailing that boat, which obviously means teams like Phoenix and Quantum, everyone's lifted their game, and you're at the thin end of the wedge when it comes to trimming technique, and it's art, really,
Indeed, I think this will be a popular win in every respect. And we're just looking momentarily at the season standings now in Phoenix. I think we'll come out on top, all things being equal, with a 3 or 4 point lead, having been, I think, 21 points behind going into this regatta. So, Smithy, the season is wide open again.
Yeah, indeed, definitely what a great day for Phoenix and a great week to score back 20-odd points from the previous season leaders. So it does make it wide open, and it'll keep everyone pretty interested all the way to the end, I would imagine.
Indeed. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us. We'll watch and enjoy the moments as Phoenix get down through the finish line, perhaps even with the miracles of our new technology that we're working on hastily. We might even get some images live from the finish line. Here's hoping, fingers crossed, that the string can reach that far, but for sure it's going to be great times for the Phoenix team, and indeed I think Preveza work hard, super strong team, and I think feel very much at home on the Bay of Palma, and also just reflecting earlier on that this really is where the Phoenix TP52 programs started off back, I think 5 years ago, when Hasso came and raced at Copa del Rey with Ed Baird. So for sure a little bit of credit to Ed, who really lit the blue touch paper and worked with the team, I think certainly for the first couple of years. But these two are a long way clear, over 400 metres clear of Preveza. Smithy just saying at the top of that second beat was a little bit cruel to Quantum. They ended up on the wrong side of that righty, but they're fighting back as ever. Never say die. Pushing out to that left side, looking downwind. Trying to get back at sled, doing all they can. So this race very much having run its course now to all intents and purposes, I think. Still close between Quantum and Sled. Nothing in between the two of them, but Gladiator are the buffer between the two. Or certainly, between them and Preveza, and that's the key in the challenge for a third step in the podium. So looking very good for Preveza. Sled, as we said, going into this race, have to be content with second overall. They're secure going into this race, 8 points clear of Preveza. They've got 1 point between them. So AJ Reid celebrating with the Phoenix team as we see Allegri going through to take the final race win. Their first race win off the Regatta, and a solid day, a really good day for Andy Soriano and his team to finish off with. They were 6 points behind Platoon, but a 3 and a 1 is very encouraging. Our live images that we're getting momentarily there, just a few seconds ahead of our tracking. Such is the nature of the tracking technology. So then looking at Phoenix coming through the finish line. Kite is eased, and it is a great moment for the South African team. Plattner family at home in South Africa will be overjoyed. They've worked hard for the last 4 or 5 years building up this programme. They've come close, as I say, in Cape Town when they hosted the 52 Super Series. We should have had 2 regattas there, but unfortunately we all know what happened. But it was a great moment then for the Phoenix team, hosting the circuit and getting into the lead in the Cape Doctor. But hugs all round. An emotional moment really for the Phoenix team. They're having so close again in November last year when that kite blew up, and that really was the end of the challenge for the championship. And great credit to Tom Slingsby, the really the glue that holds it all together, in the sense that he definitely provides the tactical input, tactical talent. Nice set of legs there just to finish off. And all credit as well to Provezza then coming through the line in third, finishing the day with a 1 and a 3, the best scoring boat along with Phoenix. Phoenix going 2-2 for the final day, and Provezza going 1-3. Team at 1 here in 2017, home of the Wizard of Palma Bay, Nacho Postigo, navigator. Credit to Hamish Pepper. Colli Parada joined from Azura. Azura past world champions, past 52 Super Series champions, most recently in 2019. And in the end, actually, Quantum getting sled. So that'd be a little, well, potentially that sled tracker has been the bane of our life all through the week. But I'm sure then Quantum coming through for fourth. Solid result for them in the end, not what they wanted. They needed to be ahead of Provezza with a boat between them to rescue third place. So Quantum will be fourth overall. And Platoon through in sixth, will finish sixth overall. Gladiator get seventh, Interlodge eighth, and the Value in ninth. So tough week for the Value team. It's effectively a year on the circuit, having joined at the Invitational Regatta in August last year. Had some good moments, but the level here has been stratospheric, and it's been much more of a one-sided track than we've seen this season. We've done well in the light and shifty conditions. And maybe here in this slightly breezier conditions, certainly today, in the 2015 design is not as quick. So just waiting then for Value to come down through the finish line. So in the end, no change in the overall standings in terms of the positions. going into this race. Phoenix winning sled second and Prevezza third. And as soon as Vayu get through the finish line, we'll hopefully get these actual points tallied up for you. So looking forward to Scarlino in September. We will be back with live tracking all the way through the week. Phoenix will go to Scarlino with a very small points lead. Quantum Racing will have Doug DeVos back. It's a venue I think we've been to twice. Not a breezy venue in September usually, but a very shifty, challenging venue indeed. Venue where Platoon won their world title in 2017 when John Kostecki joined the team. Maybe we'll see Platoon finishing 6th year. Maybe that the return to Tuscany, the return to Scarlino will be to the benefit of the Platoon team, which have dropped to 3rd on the season standings. So there we see the final standings here in Puerto Portal's 52 Super Series Sailing Week 2022. The champions are from South Africa, Phoenix on 25 points, 11 points clear of Sled, the defending 52 Super Series champions of 2021, finishing up second. Prevezza are third, their best finish of the season, and the first time they've been on the podium since 2017. So a good score for them. Quantum Racing in 4th on 44. Interlodge in the end 6 points behind. They had a pretty rich spell in the middle of the regatta with that 133. So a little bit of what could have been for Interlodge. Then Platoon in 6th, Allegra 7th, Gladiator 8th, and Vayu in 9th. So a good win, comfortable win really in the end for Phoenix, finishing off with a 1-2-2. That 8th being their bogey result over the course of the week when they were over the start line. Sled, I think in the end having to be happy with second, but then there you see it, 2 points up now, Phoenix in the circuit standings, 2 points clear of Quantum Racing. Quantum Racing came here with a 14-point lead and leave with a deficit of 2 points, but such is life on this circuit when you are required to make changes at the back of the boat. Anyway, Quantum in second, Platoon in third, 117 points, Sled 123.5 points, Allegra in fifth, Prevezza in sixth, Interlodge seventh, Vayu eighth, and Gladiator in ninth. So that's what we have. It's been such an enjoyable week here in Puerto Portals. Great racing all the way through, fantastic finale today, and many congratulations to the Phoenix team. We'll see you in Tuscany in Italy in September.